got enough. Redemption with a capital R for Wayne Maxwell. Takes the race victory. Brian Starry takes the win. I don't even think he knew how much he took the win by.
Wakefield Park, here we are. Thank you for joining us for the second round of the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motor Pirelli. Hello from Emma Francesco and Steve Martin. And we hope that you could catch our first round, because if that is anything to go by, this championship is going to be very, very close and very exciting indeed for 2018. And Steve, Phillip Island really did have a bit of everything. What were some of the highlights for you?
Wow, I mean, it was just such a mixed up meeting. 3 different winners, 3 different manufacturers standing on the top step of the podium. It really was unexpected. I mean, in the past at Phillip Island, we've had one guy win all 3 races for the last 2 years. But 2018 is not that way. It's completely mixed up. And
very competitive indeed. One guy adding to the mix. One of my highlights was the return of Troy Bayliss. Lots of people very keen to see what he could actually do, and he came out and did very well for the weekend.
I mean, race 1 at Phillip Island was incredible. I mean, what a display by Troy Bayliss. I mean, there was a lot of conjecture in the off-season. Would he come back just to ride around and have fun, or would he want to win? And I think we saw at Phillip Island a snippet of what we're going to see for the rest of the year. Bayliss is back and he's back to win.
Well, from Troy Bayliss to someone else that had a fantastic week and actually winning the round is Brian Starring. Certainly my one to watch for the year.
Well, I guess when you look at he come from 13th to first place, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. With his qualifying here this weekend, he's in a much better position. So I tell you what, you've really got to keep an eye on the green man. And with his confidence high after that win here at Wakefield Park, he's going to be one to watch.
He certainly is looking very, very confident, cool, calm and collected. You caught up with him a little bit earlier, so let's see what Brian Starring, our championship leader, had to say.
So Brian, congratulations. You look like the last couple of weeks I've been watching social media, you've been living on a high.
Yeah, I have been. It was so nice for me to get a win at Phillip Island. As I've sort of said through social media and some other areas of PR, I haven't won anything since 2012, which is a hell of a long time ago now, and I've been chipping away in a lot of different categories, a lot of different races on a lot of different motorbikes and different championships and all over the world. So to finally win a race again was really a really big reward for me and really satisfying.
I've watched your career over a long time, as you know, from when you were back in Europe, and I know that you're a rider that responds well to confidence, and I can see right now that you're full of confidence again.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like that's something that's developed like through the last half of last season. I finished last season really strong. The result didn't always show that, but a lot of times I was the only guy able to challenge Josh at the end of the year. And I feel like I've been able to actually translate or carry that over into the new team here this year with Kawasaki BC Performance. And I've been hitting my goals and targets, everything at home in the preparation for the year, and I've been really motivated. And yeah, I feel like I'm riding the bike well, and I feel like I'm deserving of a result. I know that deserving doesn't mean anything in racing, but certainly putting yourself in the right place to win is where you need to be.
Well, we cannot wait to see how Brian Starring goes in the 2 Superbike races this weekend. But now it is time to get to know this track, which is Wakefield Park Raceway. Let's take a tour with our very own Steve Martin.
Wakefield Park. It's one of the roughest and toughest circuits that we come to on the Australian Superbike circus. But not only that, it's also the shortest. And for those reasons, it's really tough to get a good lap time around here. You have to be physically fit, and you have to have your bike in 100% condition. You've got to be able to come through the Motul corner there absolutely flat out with the wheels drifting as you head into turn 2 here. You use all of the road and all of the ripple strip and then head up towards Pirelli corner. The thing is though, you need to get a good start at this track because it counts towards race wins. This is where you want to keep your eyes peeled because a lot of action happens here. But it doesn't start here, it starts way up at the top of the hill. It's really imperative to get a good drive and zigzag your way down and line yourself up for a great overtaking opportunity into this corner. It doesn't matter where you go when you get to here though, you can be wide, you can be tight. It's all important to get a good drive up into KTM corner. You don't get much rest down the YMI straight. It's very, very short and it's bumpy. The bikes are moving around all over the place. It's really important though to get on the brakes hard into the final turn, Yamaha corner, because if you're leading the race right here, it's a short run down to the finish line. And that means that you're likely to be the guy that wins the race.
This is the second round at Wakefield Park, and I tell you what, it is very, very windy indeed. We're predicting about 100-kilometre-an-hour winds later on by the end of today. I can tell you at the moment, the track temperature is at 40 degrees already. Can you believe it? Phil Harlem, Steve Martin, I'm really looking forward to this one. It is hot down here, and I tell you what, there was plenty of heat in the paddock yesterday between the Superbike riders.
Yeah, it is looking pretty hot down there on the grid, Emma. But yes, there was more than a fraction of heat in the Parc Fermé yesterday after qualifying, Steve Martin, and not to be surprised either with the end results. And let's just say that there was a little bit of argy-bargy, as you can see here, between Wayne Maxwell and our pole man, Troy Herfoss.
If there was two boys that would never back down, it's these two guys here. And of course, they were arguing because Wayne Maxwell reckoned that he gave or helped the number 17 rider, Troy Herfoss, get that pole position. He wasn't very happy that Herfoss towed him round. Herfoss, of course, says that he didn't tow him round. He would have got pole anyway because he's the fastest man at this circuit. Anyway, they kissed and made up, which is good to see. But I tell you what, that's all going to change in any second when they get out on track.
Yes, it's been very interesting this weekend. Maxwell was the fastest man in every session, did in fact the fastest ever motorcycle lap around the Wakefield Park 2.2 kilometre venue, and then Troy Herfoss stole pole position from underneath his grasp.
And I think that's what hurt Wayne Maxwell the most, the fact that he got the fastest lap ever around this circuit, but it was when it didn't count. It was in free practice. So unfortunately for him, you need to do that in qualifying, and he only did a 57.3 in qualifying, and Herfoss did a 57.2, slower than Maxwell's fastest ever time, but fast enough to get pole.
Well, a lot of people reckon that Wakefield Park is a one-line circuit. There's not a lot of places to overtake. If you cast your mind back 12 months at this exact venue, Troy Herfoss showed it is a circuit where you can make lots of overtakes, because he was a long way back in the field after not getting the bike in gear off the start-finish line and virtually carved his way through the field and eventually took the round win. But this weekend, it's a completely different scenario because it's dry and there's a lot of wind, as opposed to last year, which was wet, changeable conditions all weekend.
Well, Herfoss has had a year of rider training now and has learnt how to put the bike in first gear, so I don't expect him to make that same mistake this time out. One thing we do know is that he is one of the fastest guys around this circuit. He should have dominated last year with the conditions the way they were. You know what? I'm guessing that 1 point off the championship lead at the moment. This guy is going to give it everything he's got. Big crowd here. He lives just over the hill in front of him at the moment, so it's not far to get home on the Sunday night. But Wayne Maxwell, DNF at Phillip Island, behind in the championship. He's got to win here. He's got to win both races this weekend if he's going to make a dent in the lead of the championship.
That's it. And as we said when he took that race win, it was redemption with a capital R, but he needs to continue that on here this weekend. And speaking of this weekend, it's great to see the four-time Australian champion, of course, 2 Superbike and 2 Supersport championships in that total of 4 Australian championships. Jamie Stouffer back on board a Craig McMartin prepared Racer's Edge Ducati here at Wakefield Park.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. it's definitely good to see that. Matty Blair, as we just saw there, Michael Blair, sorry, Matty's his dad. He's performing better and better every weekend. He's up there in this race. A great qualifying result for him, starting from 9th position, 58.4, just about his fastest ever lap around here. He's improving every time he gets on the machine. Let's head down to Emma on the grid.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve Martin. I tell you what, cannot wait for this one. As I said, track temperature is 40. It is very, very windy down here as well. It was Troy Herfoss that won this race this time last year. He's sitting in pole position. We will speak to him very shortly. But I wanted to mention 3 privateers are in the top 10. I'm going to speak to Matt Walters first. Now, I know you made some changes to the front suspension, mainly because it's such a bumpy track. But, of course, now you've got the wind and the heat to contend with.
Yeah, we've got everything here today, which is a bit of a basket case, but I think we should be right. We've got the bike 95% right, and I'll just have to make up the other 5% and just see how we end up and try.
Good luck, mate.
Try and score some points.
You're always looking so cool, calm, and collected. But
That's right to be, yeah.
all right, we'll head over to the guys sitting in number 9. Come around this way. I'll go under the shade. Thanks, guys. How did you know I was coming? Michael Blair. Michael, you've had a really consistent start to 2018. How are you feeling coming into this one?
Yeah, it's really good. You know, we've got a great setup with the team. Yamaha's working really well. So, yeah, each session I feel like we're improving a bit. So, yeah, really looking forward to today's 2 races.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a little bit of a trip forward. We haven't really caught up with Troy Bayliss too much since Phillip Island. He had a great round. He almost won that first race, but I'll just jump in here. Sorry, quickly, Troy. I know that you reverted to your setup from Friday. How did the bike feel in the warm-up this morning?
Yeah, this morning was a better indication of the race pace, I guess you could say, because it was quite windy already this morning. So we ended up 4th there this morning. So, I mean, I know after a good start, and I think I can run a good pace. So I'm looking forward to the race.
Go get him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy Bayliss. We might move around here. And actually, we'll check in with our championship leader at the moment, Brian Starring. I don't want to get into his photo. I actually just photobombed his photo. Sorry, Brian. You got the hand on the hip. You're working it well. Hey, mate, pretty good spot considering the fact that you actually crashed out in that second qualifying session, 6th position.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I sort of got out of jail free there, almost. Like we were sure we needed to improve the lap time, obviously, in the second qualifying session, and not many riders were able to. So I think I only lost 1 position there after, picking myself up off the ground. So that's positive. I'm at the back of the second row, which is fine as I make a good start. That's I think I'm gonna sit pretty, and don't know really what to predict for this next 20 laps, but I'll give it everything I got.
We can't wait to see you. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, guys, we'll come up to the front, see who else we can chat to. We might head up with Wayne as well. Lots of these guys are posing on the grid for photos. It's fantastic to see. Wayne Maxwell, I know you're a little bit disappointed with us sitting in second, but we've got a very long race ahead of us. Anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, no doubt, you want to, after being fast in practice and stuff, you want to come away and try to take the clean sweep of the weekend. But second's still good, It's Troy's so good around here, a little bit outsmarted me, and at the end of the day, I can say what I want to say, but he's the one starting from pole, and I'm starting from second. So it's going to be a long 20-lap race, and yeah, the conditions here are so windy, and yeah, it's going to be a huge challenge. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that challenge.
Can't wait to see this battle. Good luck.
You.
All right, we'll head over to pole position. Troy Herfoss. Troy, sorry, mate. I'm just going to jump in. I know you're concentrating there, but pole position, this is a place to do it, your home track. Gotta love it.
Yeah, I am loving it. It's great to start here from pole position again, and if it's not raining and cold here, it's hot, and now it's hot and windy, so now we're sort of complaining about it's too hot and windy, aren't we? But yeah, definitely the conditions are just always so crazy here. It's very windy this morning, and it's going to change the dynamic of the race, so it looks all rosy out there in the weather, but it's definitely tough conditions, so it's going to be a tough 20 laps.
You've got a very hungry Wayne Maxwell right behind you as well. We can't wait to see the battles for this one.
Yeah, that's been Wayne since the day I met him, so yeah, we always know he's going to fight really hard, so I'm looking forward to it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, boys, here we are on the media grid, and we're getting set and ready to go for this very first race for the YMI Superbike Championship. Looking forward to it. Steve Martin, Phil Harlem, up to you.
Thank you very much, Emma. And, well, Tom Taparis may have had the quote of the weekend with his random win. Troy Herfoss has had the understatement of the year that it's going to be hectic between him and Wayne Maxwell in this race.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be hectic just between him and Wayne Maxwell. Don't forget this guy, Josh Waters. He knows how to win a championship or two. He's won 3 already and he's looking for a 4th. Daniel Falzon as well, who'd already won 3 races by this point of the week, the year last year. Jamie Stauffer's back. Let's not forget him.
Yeah, Jamie Stauffer's back, but he's bounced his way up into second row of the grid in 5th position on board that Craig McMartin Ducati. He's only ridden the bike once before the test here a couple of weeks ago as well. That was at Phillip Island for the ASBK pre-season test. But Daniel Falzon actually celebrated his birthday here on Friday. I think he said now it's there he is, the birthday boy, celebrating it this weekend with his crew. I think he said it's now the 4th year in a row that he's actually celebrated his birthday here at Goulburn at Wakefield Park.
Yeah, well, let's hope he's got a good present to head down to. But let's head down with Emma. She's with Daniel.
Daniel Falzon, these conditions, they're going to be very, very tricky indeed. This wind is incredible.
Yeah, that's right. It's so different to the Wakefield Park we're used to. We used to come here freezing cold and raining and ice on our car windows in the morning, but today it's hot and windy. It feels like we're in the middle of Australia at the moment, but looking forward to it. It's conditions none of us have raced in this whole weekend, so it's going to be a very interesting race.
Good luck for this one.
Thanks, Emma.
Boys?
Thanks very much, Emma. Great to hear from the birthday boy, Daniel Falzon, who, as always, is looking pretty happy with his performance this weekend. He's been there or thereabouts all weekend too, hasn't he, Steve Martin? And he'd probably be a fraction disappointed to be starting from the second row of the grid. But you have a look at those top 2 rows of the grid. There's so much talent and so many Australian championships in that first 2 rows.
Yeah, you know what, though, as well. Also, you've got to remember he was a privateer last year. Not a lot of pressure on his shoulders. If he didn't go well, it didn't matter. He just went home. But this year he's moved up to the factory team. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders to perform, of course. If you don't win, they want to know why. And what can we change so that you win next time out? And not everybody can be a winner. So he's got that to deal with. He's got some good people on his side. He's got Malcolm Pittman helping him out. Of course, Malcolm has worked in the GP paddock for many, many years. So Daniel Falzon, he's doing it the right way. He's building into it. Josh Waters, without Phil Tainton this weekend. Phil's at a wedding, I believe, Phil.
Yeah, and also, too, one of the reasons that Phil Tainton actually felt confident to go to the wedding this weekend is because the man that he's been schooling for many, many years now and has actually had him as a rider in his team, Brodie Waters, Josh's middle brother. Of course, Josh is the oldest brother. Brodie will be doing the crew chief work this weekend. Phil Tainton's got the utmost confidence in him to do that. And as we mentioned before, great to have Jamie Stauffer back in the championship. Emma's down with him on the grid.
Yes, I am indeed, Jamie Stauffer. It's so great to have you back. I mean, we haven't seen you since 2016.
Yeah, it's good to be back. You know, it was a bit of a late entry and what have you, so we've been struggling with fitness a little bit, but yeah, it's good to be on the bike and coming out here and having some fun, and hopefully for the race we can be somewhere up the pointy end and you know, give the guys here a good result.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Jamie Stauffer, always so relaxed. He never looks flustered, does he?
When he says he's struggling with fitness, of course, that doesn't mean he's coming back from an injury. It means that he's just been sitting on his butt for the last year and a half, watching TV. So,
and working.
And working, yeah. So Jamie has decided that he wants to have a crack. He's got himself on a good bike on the Craig McMartin Ducati. And, you know, I guess when you're not fit and you're starting from the second row of the grid in this class of field, it's a pretty good effort.
Let's have a quick break and come back with the Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance Superbike class from this second round of the 2018 Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motul Pirelli from Wakefield Park. Well, we're just about ready for the warm-up lap to get underway, and I don't think that it needs any more warming up down there, Steve Martin, because it is extremely hot on the grid. There is a hot wind blowing at Wakefield Park, and there's also a fair amount of feeling and tension, as we saw from qualifying yesterday.
And the thing is, Phil, that getting into this turn 2 is super, super critical. It might be 20 laps, we've mentioned it before, but you need to be up near the front in this race if you've got a chance of victory. It really is a critical corner. The other thing, we've got 3 different different brands of motorcycle on the front row of the grid. And then Bayliss in fourth, making it 4 brands different in the top 4.
Well, let's have a look at our grid. It is Troy Herfoss, Wayne Maxwell and Josh Waters that will start from that front row of the grid with second row Daniel Falzon, Jamie Stouffer and Brian Starring.
Troy Bayliss, of course, on row 3 with Glenn Allerton in 8th and Michael Blair in 9th position. Of course, Matty Walters, good job for him. Alex Phillips starts in 11th and Bradley Swallow, what a great job from the Kawasaki rider in 12th position.
Yeah, he has been really fast all weekend, getting ahead of Kyle Buckley in qualifying. Buckley in 13th, Corey Turner in 14th as they still work on the setup of that Suzuki GSXR, and Matt Harding rounds out the top 15.
Callum Spriggs, Ted Collins and Mark Kyoto, a weekend that he wants to forget so far.
Yeah, he's had a massive crash, did Mark Kyoto early on in the weekend, which essentially put him a little bit behind the 8-ball. Well, Steve Martin, I think we just need to take a long, steady breath because this is going to be 20 unbelievable laps of the very tight and physical 2.2 kilometre Wakefield Park layout as Troy Herfoss brings the Penrite Honda up onto the grid. Let's hope he remembers to put it in gear.
Sure he will.
Unlike last year.
The number 1 man, Josh Waters, having a last stretch.
So, Yamaha Motor Finance, round 2 of the 2018 championship presented by Motul Pirelli, the YMI Superbike class. Sam Phillips leaves the front of the grid. The tensions rise, the revs rise, the lights go on and we're away. A great start from Troy Herfoss. Wayne Maxwell also got a flying start as well. Brian Starring looks strong down the inside, right on the back of Josh Waters. But Bayliss has come around the outside and he's up into 4th. He's just lost 4th position.
Bit of a moment there. Oh, we've got a faller.
Oh, Mark Kyoto, his weekend of woe continues as bike number 30, the second of the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machines, goes down at turn 1. His teammate Josh Waters, though, is up in 3rd place.
But guess what? Wayne Maxwell, importantly, got the best start of his career and sits in 2nd position, which is a brilliant start for him. And it means that this race is going to be a cracker with Troy Herfoss leading at the moment.
Well, that's one of the things Wayne Maxwell has openly admitted. He has lost the race in the first couple of laps on more than one occasion over the last couple of years. But he has got a flying start. He's sitting there in 2nd. And I think you'll find these top 3 may just start to eat their way ahead. Corey Turner's got a great start too on board bike number 52, the Brisbane Motorcycle Suzuki. And he's trying to find his way around Jamie Stouffer. He's got Michael Blair glued to his ducktail on the bike, the black Yamaha R1, bike number 178, who sits in 9th position, and Matty Walters rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, Starring back in the pack a bit. He's got a little bit of work to do after that good start, but Josh Waters is right where he needs to be at the moment.
Actually, so I've done Matt Walters on the Swan Rover Coaches machine a disservice. He is up to 7th place, and you can see him. There he is there, the rider next on that group behind Brian Starring. As our leaders come across through Kawasaki corner, it is still Herfoss that leads. We've got a lead group of 5 at the moment with one T. Bayliss on bike number 21 sitting right on the back of this group and probably in exactly the position he really wants to be at the moment, just sitting there letting all the others do the donkey work at the front.
No, he certainly is, and it looks like Starring's starting to make his way forward. Daniel Falzon's there as well, exactly where he needs to be. Good by Falzon. Let's hope that he can join that leading group, and he's right on the back now. Bayliss is starting to close that gap down too. We heard him earlier on say that he's pretty confident that he can run the pace of the top group, and he's doing it at the moment. Starring, though, dropping off the back.
Well, we know Troy Bayliss has just had his 49th birthday.
Oh, Maxwell goes through.
Well, what was that? That was... it looked like he almost let Troy Herfoss went ahead. It was almost, there was probably a yellow flag maybe there, and he's had to let Troy Herfoss go back ahead because he obviously let Herfoss go back ahead, stuck his foot out and said, go back ahead.
Yep,
but maintained his 2nd position at the moment. So quick thinking there from Wayne Maxwell, avoiding a penalty at the end of the race.
That was an absolutely brilliant move by Maxwell. The only disservice that he's done there is he's shown Herfoss that he can do it. Let's just have a look at that. He's gone through up the inside. Then he's seen that it has to be the yellow flag, and then lets Herfoss go back through. Either that, if there's no yellow flag, I mean, it was difficult to see in that photo, but in that piece of footage, but if there's no yellow flag, I'll tell you what, he's certainly rubbing it in.
Well, that was the actual place where Mark Kyoto crashed,
yes,
so I think that would have to be. Matt Walters and Brian Starring pushing their Kawasaki's to the limit. Starring got it all wrong into that final corner, but he's taken a very tight line on the way out. Bayliss using all of the track and then some. He was almost in pit lane there as they came onto the straight.
Well, somebody needs to tell Bayliss that he's been flat tracking for the last 10 years
but he's
since
on
he retired.
right now.
Yeah, now he's got to stay on the tarmac.
Well, Herfoss, I don't know what that move from Wayne Maxwell's done on the last lap, but Herfoss has managed to uncork on the third lap a 58.675. The only man in the 58s. Maxwell was a 59 flat, but he did slow down at turn 1 there. He could have been in the 58s as well. Josh Waters was in the 58s, along with Daniel Falzon and Troy Bayliss. In fact, Brian Starring in 6th place was also in the 58s.
Yeah, good to see Michael Blair there as well. He's up there, and Corey Turner, as you said, he's certainly coming to grips with that Suzuki on the number 52 machine.
Yeah, they struggled at the first round, but completely different conditions here. And great to see Corey Turner putting in a great ride. Jamie Stouffer also starting to make his way up onto the back of Matt Walters as well. Did a 59.1 on lap 3 as well. So he has lost nothing. He may be joking, saying that he's got no fitness or anything, but once you're really, really good to win 4 Australian Championships, you don't get slow all of a sudden. Jamie Stouffer's proving that hand over fist this weekend.
No, he's doing a great job. Maxwell just sits in tow that time over a big bump out of turn 2 and into the YMF corner. Flicking left. It's quite bumpy through this corner here. You've got to be careful. It's easy to crash. We saw Crew Halliday crash there last year.
Yeah, it is a very tricky corner because as soon as you turn the bike into the corner, there is a massive big, well, it's almost like a dip in the ground, isn't it, Steve? And you've got to get the front end under control because then you've got those 2 important corners at the top of the hill. This is where Maxwell's looked strong all weekend. But Troy Herfoss, last year, overtook so many riders in that corner. It's obviously a strong part for both of these riders. And now as they flick to the other side and head through Suzuki corner, Maxwell manhandling the R1M there through Suzuki corner.
But that's what you've got to do. And the thing that's not making it easy out there is the wind. The wind is coming from the left of your screen across to the right. You can see another guy in the background having similar problems there. Corey Turner there with Michael Blair having a battle of their own. Glenn Allerton in the background there too. Remember, Glenn still recovering from injury. It's good to just have him out there.
Well, he is in a lot of pain this weekend, Glenn Allerton. He's also struggling. He said that the bike's fast, it's just not easy to ride, and over a 20-lap race here at Wakefield Park, that is exactly what you don't want. And I know that team's been working extremely hard trying to fine-tune the setup to make the bike easier to ride for Glenn Allerton. Also, along with Josh Waters, 3 times Australian Superbike champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Al Phillips there on the number 20 machine as well. You want to see something that's not easy to ride. He had that thing moving around too. But that is the nature of this circuit. You add that, a tight circuit, 200 horsepower, bumps, you get bikes moving around all over the place. You just have to be able to manage it. You have to be able to control it. Let's head down to Emma with some news. Oh!
Maxwell up the inside of Herfoss for the race lead. Down to you now, Emma.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, Dale Breed is now getting involved in all the action. Dale Breed from Team Suzuki Exeter. Not a great start from Mark Kyoto, but Josh is looking pretty strong out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mark, not sure what actually happened with Mark, but he didn't get past turn 2. But yeah, Josh is sort of where we want him to be. And, hopefully as the race goes on, Josh is really good on his tyres. It's a long race, so I think he'll just take his time and hopefully get to the front with the boys and give him a bit of a hurry up.
Thanks, mate. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Great to hear from Dale Breed, of course, the team owner, team manager of the Team X-Star Suzuki Australia machine. Well, just before we went to Emma, we saw an overtaking manoeuvre here. Wayne Maxwell pulled out from behind Troy Herfoss, just went down the inside, seemed to be able to just put the bike anywhere he wanted. Herfoss had to stand the bike up, compromised his drive, Steve Martin, and Maxwell took up the running. Now it's a case of who following who once again.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, Wayne Maxwell has put the hammer down. Last time through was a 58.6 as he goes over the line. 58.2, his fastest lap of the race. He is the fastest man out on track at the moment, and that is why he's decided to take the lead. He wants to show Troy Herfoss who's the boss.
Yeah, there's only 32 thousandths of a second between Herfoss and Maxwell on the last lap. And I think the amount of pressure is just going to ramp up a fraction at the front as Daniel Falzon is trying to find a way past Troy Bayliss, who's made his way up into a 4th position. So Bayliss, the 49-year-old, Daniel Falzon, who just celebrated his birthday here on Friday, he's not 49.
I'm guessing he's half the age of Bayliss. Nice line from Bayliss there. He's doing a great job out there on the Panigale machine. It's a long race. He's not going to do anything silly. He's looking a lot smoother out there than he looked at Phillip Island, that's for sure. And that's the way you need to ride around here. But Falzon looks up the inside. He can't do it this time.
Well, once again, we saw in qualifying yesterday, Troy Bayliss takes completely different lines in a few of the corners. He may be slower in, but he's faster out, or he may be faster in and slower out. And that was one of the places yesterday that he was on a completely different line to everyone else.
But it's also the nature of the bikes, Phil. The V-twin Panigale performs completely different to the inline Big Bang inline for Yamaha. So, you know, you've got to ride to the strengths of your machines, and that's exactly what Bayliss is doing at this circuit here. He takes big swooping lines to make the bike work, whereas you can, perfect example there, Daniels can get in nice and tight, so Daniels looking for a way past. Now he's lined himself up beautifully, but Bayliss is good on the brakes, really good on the brakes.
This was another corner that he takes a completely different line yesterday, although they were very similar on that occasion. But Josh Waters in our lead group. Steve Martin has actually just put in his fastest lap of the race.
Adam, is that Adam Senior?
No, I think that's Joel Rhodes on board bike number 81, the personal trainer who, in our profiles, openly admitted that he's not as fit as he should be for a personal trainer.
It's well, he's got some time to go and get fit now, but Troy Herfoss was certainly monstering the back of the number 47 machine of Wayne Maxwell there, and Josh Waters is doing a really good job, like we heard Darryl Breed say, of just hanging on the back there, not doing anything silly. This group of three now have definitely made a gap to Troy Bayliss. What is it now, 3 seconds? But there's only 0.5, half a second covering the top three.
Yeah, we're halfway through this 20-lap race. We're on lap 10 of 20. It is still Bayliss and Falzon battling for position. Brian Starring.
There he goes. He's going to go up the inside. He can't do it. Once again, he's got good drive down the hill.
Herfoss back into the lead at the bottom of the hill through KTM, one of his favourite overtaking manoeuvres. Herfoss is not scared to just shove the Penrite Honda up the inside of Wayne Maxwell, or anyone else for that matter, as they come down towards the bottom of that hill. And I think now you can see that the desperation's gone up a notch because he got in there way too hot. Front end was bouncing around all over the place. Couldn't get the bike settled and under control to tip into the corner. And Maxwell takes up the running in the lead. And Josh Waters is positioned absolutely perfectly on board bike number 1. The reigning champion on board that team's Suzuki X-Star Australia machine.
Well, there's only one guy in that group that hasn't won a race this year, and that's the guy with number 1 in his bike, the X-Star Suzuki rider, Josh Waters. So I'm sure he's watching these two up front at the moment, and they are definitely pushing and using up their tyres probably more than Josh at the moment. Josh is just sitting there waiting for a mistake to be made, and I'm sure as soon as the guys in front do make a mistake, he's going to pull the pin.
YMI Superbike class is on in earnest. Half race distance for our Superbikes in race number 1 at this second round, and Troy Bayliss is in a heated battle with Daniel Falzon, and the more they keep this up, Brian Starring, who's managed to get away from Matt Walters, will actually start to pull himself in. In fact, Matt Walters has dropped back to 9th position. Glenn Allenton and Jamie Stouffer, there's a few championships between those two, have moved their way up into 7th and 8th position.
It's not where the championship leader wants to be, though. Back in 6th position at the moment, just catching up to the battle in front of him. He wanted to be up near the front, but for Brian Starring, I think a win this time out is not going to be the case.
Well, he's closing in actually on those guys in front. On the last lap, he was actually fractionally faster, only a 10th of a second, but he is almost with them. And if he can just get that fraction closer, he'll be well and truly in the battle for 4th place.
Absolutely.
That looks like Brad Swallow there putting in a great performance here this weekend, although he's dropped back to 17th place. That's the furthest that he's been back, I think, this entire weekend on the Kawasaki Australia Do-Speed machine. Of course, a mechanic at Kawasaki Connection along with Matt Walters.
Have to mention, we've also got Arthur Cece's here this weekend as well, racing on his Suzuki GSXR, getting back into road racing. So good to have another international come back and take up racing the Australian Superbike Championship.
Yeah, man, with plenty of Moto 3 experience, an Australian spec Superbike, probably a little bit different to a Moto 3, but great to see Arthur back and taking advantage of the Suzuki contingency money that's on offer in 2018 aboard one of those 2018 model Suzuki GSX R1000Rs.
Tell you what, looks like Josh Waters is just dropping off the back of that group at the moment.
Yeah, on the last lap he was a 10th of a second slower, Steve, so 10th of a second, not that much, but at the same time, he's going to miss out on the slipstream next time down the straight.
Absolutely. The thing is that this 2.2 kilometre circuit, it's the shortest circuit that we come to on the calendar, and the lap time, 57, 58 seconds, a 10th of a second, is hard to find. So he really does need to dig deep, Josh Waters, if he wants to win his first race of the year.
As you can see there, completely different styles from Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss. Maxwell, have a look at him through the corners. People that haven't seen Wayne Maxwell ride before, he doesn't seem to use anywhere near as much lean angle. Sits in the seat a lot more than other riders do, as Troy Bayliss and Daniel Falzon continue this battle, but looming in behind, the man on the green machine, the BC Performance Kawasaki, is Brian Starring.
Yeah, definitely. Bayliss is so strong on the brakes compared to Falzon. It looks like Falzon wants to carry more corner speed and drive out, but he just can't find a way through. on Troy Bayliss. He's stuck there, tidal lines on the entry in the mid-corner, but Bayliss, when he winds that thing up and gets in the braking area, he's just, Daniel's got no answer. Let's see what Brian Starring does. He's caught up to the back of that group now.
Well, the battle between they are pretty good mates, even though they've had a bit of a heated discussion. As Mark Herfoss, Troy's father, said yesterday, they're just like brothers. They talk to each other like brothers, and they'll have disagreements every now and then, but they'll get over it.
Oh, they certainly will, and probably by tonight it'll all be forgotten, that little stoush that they had earlier on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But they're not best friends right at the moment, that's for sure, because as the laps wind down, things are about to start happening.
Well, we're on lap 15 of 20 now, so 3/4 of the race distance just about gone. Bayliss starting to move around there. He's given the Pirelli rear tyre a fair amount of work as they head up the hill. Falzon still can't find a way past. Bayliss has got the elbows out, and as in his World Superbike career, Steve Martin, he is proving extremely hard to overtake.
Yeah, absolutely. Bayliss was the second fastest man on track that time around, believe it or not, with Maxwell dipping back into the 59s. The only man in the 58s was Troy Herfoss. So with 15 laps completed, it looks like Herfoss might have the pace.
Yeah, Bayliss was once again a little bit wide on the entry or the exit of that corner, mid-corner, but they get great drive out and through Suzuki. Falzon tries to have a look up the inside. He's got good drive through Suzuki, comes up the inside, can't quite get up there on the brakes up the inside of Troy Bayliss.
No, it's going to be a big move if he's going to try and do it there. It looks like perhaps the front of his bike's slightly softer than Bayliss's, which is allowing Bayliss to push the front harder into that final corner, the Yamaha corner. But Falzon, although he looks like he wants to try it there, he's not going to be able to do it. He's up the inside again here. He's taking the shortest line, but he's on the outside, so he can't do it there either.
Yeah, you can see he got great drive, and as you said, Steve Martin, looks like he's carrying more corner speed, but just can't try and find his way past.
You've only got to be 0.2 of a second slower at this circuit, and you can actually hold the guys up, and that's what's happening here with Bayliss. He's obviously just holding these guys up behind him, but they can't find a way through because he's got his bike set up perfectly to be strong in the braking area. A lot of rear movement now from Bayliss's bike. He really is starting to get a spin from that back wheel.
Well, then if anyone can maintain pace with a disintegrating rear tyre, it will be Troy Bayliss. He'll put that at the back of his mind and won't worry about it as all, as Brian Starring has joined the party well and truly now. This is a battle for 4th, 5th and 6th position. As you can see there ahead, Josh Waters is in a pretty lonely 3rd place at the moment. But it is Troy Herfoss and Wayne Maxwell. There is literally nothing between them as they made their way across the start-finish line to complete 16 of the 20 laps for this race 1 at the second round of the 2018 Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championships. Bayliss still leads Falzon in the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th up towards the top of the hill, with Brian Starring on that BC Performance Kawasaki right on their tail as well. Then we've got a pretty big gap back to Glenn Allerton, who's moved up to 7th ahead of Jamie Stouffer, who at 16 laps in is putting in a great performance to be in 8th place ahead of Matt Walters, and Al Phillips has moved into the top 10.
Bayliss is wide.
Bayliss is almost off the track. He's done a great job to keep the bike on track there, in fact. Just got in there a little bit too hot, I think.
Yeah, he got in too hot, then ran out onto the ripple strip. It's very slippery there, the off-camber corner there, and he's been braking so late, but now expect to see Falzon and the Kawasaki man Starring take off, because I think he was just slowing him up just a little bit.
Well, 17 laps complete now. We're on lap 18. Troy Herfoss has got a 0.455 second lead. Here's a replay of Bayliss running wide. How close was he to actually getting off onto the grass there? And wow, Troy Bayliss, I think his heart may have been in his mouth for a millisecond, but as soon as that was over, it was back down and head behind the fairing and trying to catch up onto the back of Brian Starring's machine. Falzon's actually pulled away a little bit from Brian Starring as they dip down through Kawasaki, through AGV corner now, and make the run down the hill.
In a way, it's good that Bayliss did that, because he was holding these guys up. Now that he's behind them, he's going to be able to see where his weakness is. If he can just maintain that gap for a minute, he'll be able to come in after the race and say, I know where I'm weak now. I was too strong on the brakes, which is a good thing, but the bike wasn't turning the way that their bikes were. So they can make some adjustments for race 2 this afternoon. So in a way, although he ran off, it's not the end of the world for Troy Bayliss, because I'm sure they'll make some setting changes for the next race this afternoon.
Well, on lap 17, all of the riders bar Troy Bayliss in the top 11 were in the 59s. Herfoss and Maxwell have now, at the completion of lap 18, dipped back into the 58s. The pressure is really on at the front. The pace is starting to heat up, and Herfoss has got a 0.35 second of of a second lead over Wayne Maxwell. But we're on lap 19 of 20 now, so this is the penultimate lap, and you can see Herfoss is pushing that Penrite Honda for everything he's got and everything the motorcycle has actually got now, because he realised that this is where the run to the flag has actually started.
Yeah, absolutely. A back marker coming up as well. That looks like Adam Senior. Did I get it right this time, Phil? Hopefully I did. But
yep, I think that is Adam Senior,
yes,
the Western Australian, a very experienced campaigner. He'll know exactly what to do when he gets the blue flag.
And he did move out the way. Great stuff as Troy Herfoss starts the most important lap he's done around here this weekend so far. Wayne Maxwell right on the back wheel and just nips out of the slipstream, takes the straighter line to hopefully get a drive up the inside through Modal Corner into turn 2. He's done it there before, but he didn't do it this time. He's got to be closer than that. You've got to be close around here to pass, Phil.
Well, they're both so good at the bottom of the hill too. I don't know if that's actually going to be an opportunity to overtake for either of these riders, but the top of the hill, we've seen Wayne Maxwell shove it up the inside there, but he's not close enough. Herfoss has managed to get a little bit of a lead through Pirelli and down through Kawasaki now, that Maxwell's going to have to make up a fair distance on the brakes at the bottom of the hill here. I don't think he's close enough as they come down to the bottom of the hill, Steve Martin.
Not through there.
The opportunity is that's going to have to be at the final corner for Wayne Maxwell, and he needs to set that up here at this corner.
Absolutely. Maxwell's got to get on the right on the back now, and if he's going to do it, if the Yamaha is going to pass in the final corner, it's going to happen at Yamaha corner, the final section of this, but he's gone wide. He's going to try and nip up the inside and drag him to the line. He's got to cut back. Has he done it? He's got the inside line, but Herfoss perfect through there. Maxwell on the outside. He's going for it. He's got it. He's side by side. I think he's going to do it. Maxwell wins.
Yeah, Maxwell won. Troy Herfoss went very narrow on the final corner there and may have compromised his drive. Maxwell played it to perfection, got the run. You can see how good that Yamaha was out of the final corner, and he got the run to the flag. Here's a great battle too with Jamie Stauffer, Al Phillips and Matt Walters all in there as well. Josh Waters took a safe third position as they come to the line. I think Jamie Stauffer's going to outsmart them all. Well, age and experience once again comes to the fore. He beats the three young whippersnappers over the line to take out 8th position, with Al Phillips and Matt Walters rounding out the top 10. Michael Blair in 11th. Daniel Falzon finished in 4th place. Brian Starring in 5th. Bayliss in 6th with a rear tyre that looked like it had cried enough with a few laps to go. Glenn Allerton, a brave ride into 7th place as well, as Wayne Maxwell takes the win by 0.031 of a second, and also the fastest lap of the race for Wayne Maxwell. Josh Waters will join them on the podium, and Daniel Falzon, he'd be pretty happy with 4th place considering he had to battle with Troy Bayliss for so long.
Absolutely. Brian Starring did the best he could and got the better of Troy Bayliss, who ended up in 6th, and Allerton, what a ride from him. It was fantastic. And as you said, Stauffer, what a comeback in 8th position. Al Phillips and Matty Waters, you've got to take it to Matty Waters. That's the best ride he's had. I think he'd be happy. He's competitive.
Let's head down to the podium and hear from our top 3 with Emma Francesco.
Thank you very much, Phil Hull. Just down here with Josh Waters. Josh, I hate seeing you disappointed. Okay, I just got a little smile, which is great to see, but mate, all these points really count at the moment. This is your 4th podium.
Yeah, really good. So big thanks to Team X-Star Suzuki. We've been up against it a little bit this weekend, but keep trying, and I was happy that I was able to stay with them for the first half of the race, because those two have been a gap above everyone. I should have tried a little bit more at the end, but yeah.
Smart riding.
Yeah, so that was good information we picked up from that race, so we'll try and make the bike a little bit better. Very, very physical with that wind, and I know the wind's not going to die down, so I need to go and somehow prepare for the second battle.
Good luck for that one, mate.
Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll head over to 2nd position. Troy Herfoss. Wow, Troy. God, it's getting loud and busy down here, isn't it? It's good to see these two chatting and smiling, a bit different to yesterday. As I just said, it's good to see you guys chatting and smiling, a little bit different to yesterday. But that battle was amazing.
Yeah, it was really, really tight. And yeah, it's hard to notice with the conditions, but it was just, it was like a wet race. You got to the front, you really couldn't do anything with it. It was so windy. And anyway, as you can see, there's a bit of a deficit on the straight, and I need to, I got to break Wayne, but I couldn't, and that's all there is to it. And anyway, if we can somehow make the bike work in this wind, we'll definitely be able to ride a better lap time. I did struggle in areas then, and anyway, I think we're leading the championship now. And although it's the extra 5 points is very crucial, it was tough conditions out there, so I've got to take my hats off to the Penrite Honda team and give themselves a pat on the back, because it was a tough race.
Can't wait to see what happens in the next one. Good luck.
Thank you.
Now our winner, Wayne Maxwell. Wayne Maxwell, 0.031 of a second. You just got him on the line. Well done, mate. First position, another win. Great to see you back at the podium.
Yeah, look, massive thanks. It was such a tough battle out there. When you had someone to follow, the win was a lot easier. When you're leading, you were like playing mind games with you. So, yeah, really, as I said, really happy to get the win, claw a few points back. You know, the aim was to come here and not lose any more points on those leading bunch, and we managed then to gain some. So hopefully this afternoon we can come out and repeat the same thing and go from there. But really tough race, and yeah, glad to make it back here in one piece.
What was going through your head around that last corner?
I knew I had a little bit on him there. It was so dodgy, the wind there, and so I went in there and I knew he was sort of going to try to get a good drive out, so I sat back and just got a run on him, and it was just enough. I had a bit more engine on the Yamaha and just enough to get him with the wind pushing him, and I was on the other side of him. I was a bit protected, and yeah, really happy. And massive thanks, as I said, to everyone at Yamaha. The bike was really good over the run.
Thanks for the great racing.
Yamaha have been a massive part of the Australian Superbike Championship since 2015. They've been here playing with the big 1000cc machines for the last 3 years. But in that time, other bikes have come along. They've joined the family, the R family. The newest member to the family is this bike here. It's the R15. The reason it's here, of course, is because the young guys need something to ride, and it's this one that they take up. 11 to 15-year-olds can get out on track on this little single-cylinder machine and race each other in the quest to make it up to the big boys. You can't step up from the 1.5 onto a superbike. You need a bike like this. This is the R3. It's the obvious next step up from that 1.5 machine. It's a twin cylinder. It's got about 45 horsepower. But the thing with this class is the racing is so close. If you think you've mastered the small bikes, well then you've got to get serious. You've got to move up to a bike like this, the R6. It's a 4-cylinder, water-cooled, brand new machine in 2017. The thing with this bike is it's a serious piece of kit. It's already won a World Supersport Championship in the hands of Lucas Mayers. This is where everybody wants to end up. This is the big R1, the daddy of them all, the one that can win the Australian Superbike Championship. And let's face it, all those other bikes are leading to this platform right here. Riders Daniel Falzon and Wayne Maxwell are going to have every chance in the Australian Superbike Championship. They are the kings, they are the daddies of the Yamaha family. So there you have it, from the small to the big, from the beginner to the expert, Yamaha have got it all with their R family.
Welcome back to Wakefield Park and the second round of the 2018 Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championships presented by Motul Pirelli. Getting ready for a start now for the third and final Supersport 300 race. And Steve Martin, there is a vacant spot at the front of the grid because, Supersport 300 throws up so many twists and turns. This time on the final sighting lap when Hunter Ford went down at turn 2 Motul Corner.
Yeah, it's unusual that the pole man goes down on the sighting lap, but that was the case here as the race is about to start. The flag is out.
Well, Revs rise and we're away. Great start from Lockie Taylor, who got a good jump off second position, but I think the man that will actually lead them down in towards turn 1 will be Zach Levy on board bike number 87. Bramage comes down the inside. There's almost contact between Zach Levy and Tom Bramage on board bike number 44. Tom Bramage has had an up and down weekend as well. He's crashed out and he's taken a race win so far this weekend, but at the moment he is, leading the field as they make their way. No, it's not. It's Ollie Bayliss that's actually gone up the inside, and Bramage has gone from the lead, Steve Martin, at the bottom of the hill to 4th place as they come through Kawasaki Corner and run down the hill.
Bayliss had a great charge there on his way up. Also, Taylor Ralph has made another good start as well. Jarrett Brook back in this one. Good to see him out there again. But Bayliss to the lead really early in this one. We've already had a couple of races this weekend. He's had to work his way through, but he hasn't been able to win. But he's never been this close to the front so early on.
Yeah, especially this weekend. Of course, did he take his first ever race win in this class at the first round at Phillip Island. But great position early on from Ollie Bayliss on board bike number 86. Lockie Taylor in there as well. He's also crashed out in one of the races so far this weekend. There's Callum O'Brien on board bike number 10. think he had to take evasive action on that warm-up lap when Hunter Ford crashed at Modal Corner and was lucky to get back to the start as well. But as they complete the first lap, it is Ollie Bayliss from Zach Levy on board the Puma RVs machine, bike number 87, and Lockie Taylor on the 151 machine as they come through Modal Corner. Bayliss has a bit of a quick look over the shoulder. Taylor Rolfe still running back there in 5th position. She has been incredibly strong this weekend, as we always expect. But considering the injuries that she came into this round with, Steve, once again an iron woman performance from Taylor Rolfe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she has been right up there, and in fact, up until the last race, she has got the current lap record in this class as well. So don't think she's just out there making up numbers. But look at Lockie Taylor now. He's hard on the brakes up the inside. He can't quite do it. Bayliss holds that line nice and tight as they head through the KTM corner. Then they'll flick right into Suzuki onto the short YMI back straight. You don't get much rest at this Wakefield Park circuit, Phil. It's one of the tightest that we come to on the circuit. 2.2 kilometres long, and it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and 10 corners packed into that 2.2 kilometres as well. As Harry Curry on board the 43 machine is now starting to close up on the back of Jared Brooks' 21 bike, the KTM RC390. Down to complete the first flying lap now. It is still Bayliss that leads. Have a look at the lap times. Fastest man on track, Tom Bramich, at 1:08.223. And he dropped back a little bit, but he's starting to close in on our lead group now, with Bayliss having to play second fiddle to Lockie Taylor, who's got that excellent power to weight ratio. He would definitely be the lightest of all of those guys in that lead group of 4.
Yeah, he is. He's built like matchsticks, as Lockie Taylor, but he certainly knows how to make the most advantage of it. Reminds me a little bit of Billy Van Eerd in the size and the way that he's built. Of course, our champion from last year, who's left the series to head overseas, using all the track and more there. It was young Lockie Taylor as he leads the pack there with Zach Levy, who's already won a race. The elder Stelzman of the class, Tom Bramich, up the inside. What a great move by him.
Yeah, the former Australian Moto3 champion made a big lunge there down the inside of Zach Levy to take up the running in 3rd position, as Taylor and Bayliss have just started to get away a fraction. Taylor Rolfe is still leading that second group with Corey Briffer and Harry Curry right behind her. Briffer has a bit of a look up the inside of Taylor Rolfe, but she's pretty strong on the brakes. And watch out for bike number 57 as well, Seth Crump on board the KTM. He was riding better than I've ever seen him at the first round of the championship at Phillip Island, and he's probably struggled a little bit here this weekend, but he's on the pace now in race number 3.
Absolutely. Poor old Seth Crump's had a little bit of an up and down weekend. He's had a crash, but you know what, these young blokes, they put that behind them, they get back out there. Ollie Bayliss has a look behind. Of course, that's a bit of a tactic just to see who's in that group. He knows that when it comes down to the final laps, if it's a group of 4, it's a lot better than a group of 8, because these guys are going to go ballistic.
Yeah, they certainly are, and at the moment this lead group of 4 do have a little lead over the next group, which is Corey Briffer taking up the running in 5th ahead of Taylor Rolfe and Harry Curry. Then it's Seth Crump about 1.5 seconds back from Harry Curry, with Jared Brook and Johnny Littris rounding out the top 10. And Johnny Littris has been very busy this weekend doing duty in Supersport 300, R3 Cup, and also in the GP Juniors as well. And apart from the GP Juniors, Steve Martin, these are the lightest bikes that we see here at Wakefield Park this weekend in the Australian Superbike Championship, most affected by the wind.
Absolutely. As Tommy Bramich tries to make another move up the inside, we do talk about, as an example, the R family. We have a class here this weekend called the R15. GP Junior class, where the guys start from 11-year-olds and they work their way up into this and the R3 Cup, then up onto the 600s and then the Superbike. So there's a class for everybody here. Tommy Bramich, though, up the inside. He was strong here earlier in the weekend too. A great manoeuvre by him. Ollie Bayliss takes the better drive, but he can't do it there as they head into YMF and then Pirelli corner at the top of the hill.
Well, Ollie Bayliss, I thought, was going to take the lead through there, but Bramich squeezed down even tighter on the inside, and then Lockie Taylor used his power to weight ratio. Here we go. This is where Bayliss had gone up the inside of Lockie Taylor and was actually leading the race for a matter of metres before Tom Bramich came up the inside on the YMI Ron Angel machine to take up the running at the front.
Yeah, Bramich has been struggling with front end grip all weekend, but they've been working away. Trevor Manley on his side, himself an ex-Australian champion, working on that suspension. I'll tell you what, they've got it right come Sunday.
Yeah, he seems to have a bit of confidence in the front end. Of course, in this Supersport 300, Tom's younger brother Ben actually racing in this class as well on board a KTM. Just try and keep an eye out where he is. Ben Bramich is actually back in 14th position as brother Tom leads them onto the straight. But Ollie Bayliss is, well, it looks like he's just keeping his powder dry at the moment, sitting in this lead group and just making sure that he's in position, because as you said, Steve Martin, the last lap or lap and a half of these races is always where the races are won and lost, with more moves than you can poke a stick at, and coming down to it, all you needed to be is in that lead group, and Zach Levy has so far this weekend timed it to absolute perfection on more than one occasion.
Absolutely, at least in the Supersport class, he won the race earlier on today, so you know, a class display, 22 years older versus these younger guys. Ollie Bayliss, just 14, so quite a bit of experience on those boys in front of him. Zach Levy, of course, has raced overseas in the past, but Bayliss up the inside now. What a great move. There's no particular line out of this corner here, Phil. You can go wide, you can go tight. It really just depends on the line that you get under the braking into it. And
sometimes when it actually looks like you're a little bit wide on the exit of that corner, you get a better run through KTM corner, and then hence through Suzuki, and then down the Yamaha Motor Finance back straight. Look at this battle. Harry Curry having a look up the inside of bike number 23. That's Corey Briffa. Couldn't quite get up the inside, but they're both trying to find their way past Taylor Ralph, who, as we said, this weekend is riding out of her skin. And luckily for her, most of the stuff has actually been put back inside her skin, and she's been stitched up after that incident at Phillip Island.
Yeah, of course, she was injured there, but continued to ride. Just as they round up a back marker at the moment, everybody through. Lockie Taylor perhaps held up a little bit there, but the blue flag's helping to let that guy know to move over to the side. Bayliss out front, and I'll tell you what, Bayliss has probably got a bike length lead now over the man in second position.
Well, those next group of riders, Corey Briffa, Taylor Ralph, just getting around that back marker as well, who I think just got a lesson in how fast you can actually go through that corner.
Of course, that's Penta Penelaric from Queensland.
So down at the bottom of KTM now, and through the very tricky KTM corner, and then through Suzuki and out onto the Yamaha back straight. Ollie Bayliss has really pinned the ears back. We're on the 7th of 10 laps. Probably gone a fraction earlier than I would have thought, Steve Martin. But in this class, if you can get that little bit of a lead and then leave those others to fight out second, third and fourth position, that's going to be to your advantage, because all they'll do is slow each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has now that one bike length lead is increased to 2 bike lengths, but let's just see what happens down the straight here. It's so windy here that there's perhaps an opportunity to slipstream, and we know how strong Tom Bramich is in the braking into turn 1. He's closed that gap back up a little bit, but Bayliss maintains enough just to keep the gap to the guys in second, third and fourth.
Yeah, Bramich got great drive up the hill there. I thought that Zach Levy was going to try and put a pass on him through Yamaha Motor Finance corner, but couldn't quite get up the inside. Taylor Ralph still leading Corey Briffa and also Harry Curry around at the top of the hill, and doing a great job this weekend, continuing on her strong performances at Phillip Island, even though she was injured. And I know we keep speaking about the injury and everything, but it was a serious
Harry
injury.
Curry up the inside of both of them, nearly.
Harry Curry was late on the brakes. I think Corey Briffa just let the brakes off and ran wide as a consequence of that. And Harry Curry has got that extra position up, and now he's trying to find a way past Taylor Ralph.
Absolutely, of course, Harry Curry riding in 3 classes this weekend, but Tom Bramich closes that gap even more.
And Curry had a bit of a look up the inside of Taylor Ralph there, couldn't quite find a way past. Very late on the brakes is Taylor Ralph as our lead group of 5, but just starting to spread out a fraction now. It's a lead group before. That was a back marker that was actually in there. I was looking at it thinking, what's going on there? But it's still Ollie Bayliss that leads from Tom Bramich. The lead has been cut down. That what was a 1 or 2 bike length lead a lap or so ago is now down to absolutely nothing as they start the penultimate lap. Yeah. We've completed 8 laps of this 10-lap journey, Steve.
Absolutely. Ollie Bayliss has got to give it everything that he's got now, because Tommy Bramich has towed that pack back onto the back wheel of him, and this is exactly not what he wanted to happen. When will Bramich go? Is he going to have it go down into the tight Fishhook corner? And he has. He's gone up the inside. He's gone up the inside and he's pulled it off nice and tight, and he's got past Bayliss and pushed him out wide and left Bayliss with nowhere to go. But now it's going to come down to this last corner, turn 10, Yamaha corner as they head down the YMI straight, and then the slipstream is going to affect the final lap of the race, which is just coming up.
Yeah, and also too, Tom Bramich has shown how fast he is through turn 1, turn 2 modal corner, which then sets him up for great drive throughout the hill. But these guys are going to be able to take advantage of his slipstream now. But keep your eye on bike number 87, Zach Levy, the master of the last lap tactics so far this weekend. What can he do on this last lap as Bramich leads them? Zach Levy's moved up into second place, Bayliss back to third, and Lockie Taylor in fourth. But keep your eye on Zach Levy, because I'm sure he's got something planned for this last lap.
Absolutely, he's taken the short line there as well. Just gone straight to the next corner, the YMFI corner. Very bumpy, that corner, not much to be done here. You just have to hold your powder now. Then there's the zigzag down the hill through Kawasaki. Into the fish hook corner they go. But Tommy Bramich, as cool as you like here. We know that Bayliss is strong down here, and he's having a run on Zach Levy, and he's through.
Well, he's got his nose
He's going
up the
through
inside.
both. He's gone through Bramich. Bramich has been pushed wide.
Bayliss, what a move from Ollie Bayliss there on board bike number 86. I thought he was going to go up one position. He's gone up two, but has he gone too early because we've still got the Yamaha corner to go? And Bramich is now back to third position. Zach Levy, the man that's been doing the one lap or last lap tactics perfectly all weekend, tries to go up the inside, can't do it. But is he going to be able to get the slipstream on the 300s? It's one of the longest runs to the line for them out of all of the classes, and he pulls up next to Ollie Bayliss.
Bayliss is not letting him any room. There's no room. He's going through. They're on the strip. They're touching each other. That was a
Tom
close one.
Bramich may have even come back into contention there. There is nothing in it. In fact, there's 3 1,000ths of a second, with Ollie Bayliss taking the win over Zach Levy and Tom Bramich 8,000ths of a second further back in third position. Lockie Taylor, well, he was a massive .081. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go to the photo to confirm those results. It is so close, Steve Martin. Fastest lap of the race was Tom Bramich at 107.830. And wow, as always, Supersport 300 delivers once again with an absolutely classic race, and 8,000ths of a second between our top 3 as they came across the line. Lockie Taylor was in 4th, as we said. Harry Curry in 5th, Taylor Relf in 6th, Jared Brook in 7th, Seth Crump got up to 8th place, Johnny Litris in 9th, and Maxi Stouffer rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, Maxi Stouffer's having a good weekend, of course. Son of Jamie Stouffer, who's racing later on this afternoon in the Superbike class. He's moved up to the 300 class, and I'll tell you what, he's coming towards the front pretty quick. But would you want to be Lockie Taylor? He's just missed out on the podium. He's missed out on the win by less than a 1/10 of a second.
Well, and also, too, this race is going to have massive championship implications, because Hunter Ford was going very well in the championship. A no score in this race as Ollie Bayliss takes the win over Zach Levy and Tom Bramich. Confirmation of your results there with Lockie Taylor, Harry Curry, Taylor Relf, Jared Brooks, Seth Crump, Johnny Litris and Max Stouffer rounding out that top 10. And a good mix of Yamaha R3s, the Kawasaki Ninja taking the win, and KTM RC 390s in 7th and 8th place as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got all the different manufacturers in there. Travis Hall rounded up 11th position with Callum O'Brien in 12th. Corey Briffett, good to see him have a good result. Mitch Kuhn, Peter Nerlich, Dan Thomas, Andrew Edser, Ben Bramich, of course, on the KTM, Boyd Hocking and Jake Brett as well, having a great result there. So really good to see those guys out there. James Wenson as well had a great result out there on his Yamaha. But I tell you what, Phil, that was one cracker of a way to start off the afternoon.
Well, and certainly a great way to start this afternoon's telecast. But as always with the Supersport 300, you may think that that's something unusual. That is nothing unusual with Supersport 300. That is the way every race ends up coming down to the wire. And Tom Bramich, who I thought may have been a chance for the win, was a massive 8,000ths of a second behind.
And what we just saw then was how every one of these races is decided. The guys, when they get back, they've got to ask, where did I finish? Did I win or did I finish 4th? We just saw that then.
Well, actually, they're putting Zach Levy in position number 1 there, unless they've changed the order of the mats around.
Well, perhaps they did go.
As I said, I thought it was that close that I thought they might have had to have a look at the photo for the race win.
Absolutely, but being the last race of the day for these guys as well, it could be the round winner. So I reckon that Zach Levy may have won the round.
Yeah, Zach Levy, 65 points for the round. Ollie Bayliss in 2nd, and Tom Bramich 3rd for the round on 52 points. Of course, the no score for Hunter Ford certainly would have played into that, because he was looking extremely fast. But the overall results for the round, Ollie Bayliss winning the race, Zach Levy and Tom Bramich the top 3 in the race. But overall for the round, Zach Levy, Ollie Bayliss and Tom Bramich, the same guys in a completely different order.
No, absolutely. But that just goes to show you it's the luck of the draw when they come across the line, isn't it? But Tom Bramich, when you consider he had a crash throughout the weekend, managed to get on the podium. Great result for him.
So actually the round points have just been adjusted. Zach Levy on 70 points, it looks like, Steve. And overall championship points is now Ollie Bayliss 125 to Zach Levy 117, and Tom Bramich 112.
What do you make of that in the background there, mate?
I'm not sure if that's dust or rain or what it is.
The clouds are grey. Of course, if you think back to last year, we did have some inclement weather, although it's in the high 30s here today, but the wind is blowing through across the circuit. It is it's pretty, yeah, it really does look like the rain's coming, mate.
Well, Wakefield Park delivers once again with action aplenty on track and also action aplenty with the atmospheric conditions.
Let's head down to Emma. She's got the winners.
Thank you very much, Steve Martin. Just down here with the round winners, and Tom Bramich, well done. You can expect some sensational battles in this class, that's for sure.
Oh, always, yeah. It's always very tight, and especially at a track like this where it's a majority one line, it's really hard to pass. So, no, we're happy. We had a really tough weekend here at Wakefield, and to come away with third overall and still be in the championship hunt is, yeah, it's a good weekend.
Great work, well done.
Thank you.
All right, we'll head over to Ollie Bayliss in second position for the round. Ollie, well done. Obviously some very, very tricky conditions out there.
Yeah, nah, the wind is absolutely terrible. And to be honest, I'd probably rather be watching. Yeah, you know, it's so crazy out there and so much fun. But yeah, everyone did so good. And yeah, I'm happy to come away with the second. You know, it just means points.
Great work.
Thank you.
And first place, it's Zach Levy, who won the round. Sorry, Braxy, just jumping in here. Zach Levy, well done. What a fantastic end to your weekend. And you do have a very busy weekend indeed too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to come away with the win. It's been a long time since I got an overall win, and you know, this one means a lot because, you know, this is the last meeting that Pop ever come to, and yeah, to take the win for him, I'm real happy.
As I said earlier, you do have a busy weekend. I mean, switching between classes, how do you do it, mate?
Yeah, I seem to be managing fine this weekend. You know, it's a short, tight track, and fitness doesn't seem to be a problem, but yeah, I'm getting through it.
Great work, Zach Levy. He won the round here at Wakefield Park. That is the final race for Supersport 300. Stay with us. We're going to take a very short break, and over the other side of this, it is our second race for the YMI Superbike Championship.
It's the ringing in your ears.
It's the tightening of your chest.
When you're struggling to catch your breath.
It sends shivers down your spine.
Some people call it fear.
But I call it motivation.
At 300 kilometres per hour, there's no time for fear.
And no time for mistakes.
In the blink of an eye, you need to make the right decision to be a champion.
When you get it wrong, it hurts.
Losing is not an option.
This is my year.
This is my year. And I will.
And I will.
And I will be champion.
Tyres are always an important talking point, and one man who knows more than anybody in the paddock about them is this man here from Pirelli, Gary Crilly. Gary, I've got to ask you, mate, here this weekend, completely different conditions to Phillip Island. Have you bought the same material here?
We have got the same material, but we've also got some other options as well. Wakefield's more of a edge grip type circuit, slower corners. You need a little bit more traction out of the corners. It's not as fast, so you don't need a tyre that's more durable as further the corner runs along.
When you look at the conditions here, it's a lot hotter than it was at Phillip Island. I mean, are we going to see the guys out there sliding around a lot?
I think near the end of the race we will. We've got an option that we think will run race distance without any issues. But certainly once it gets to the race and the guys really start to get on the gas, you're going to see some sliding for sure.
Looking at the times in qualifying, you guys seem to have really picked it up, bought something new here this year. I mean, the guys in the Pirellis, they're just so fast. They're, you know, Maxwell in practice smashing the lap record. Incredible stuff.
Oh, just unbelievable. You know, the tyre that we're using, it's not actually a new tyre. It's a tyre that we used last year. It's the SC0. It's our softer option, which works really well around here. And the warmer it gets, the better it's going to be.
Well, Gary, thanks for your insight on that. One thing's for sure, the racing ahead is going to be super exciting.
Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance Superbike class is on the grid, Steve Martin. Race 2 just about ready to get underway. And once again, an extremely healthy grid. 26 riders qualified for today's race. and you'd be surprised you wouldn't be surprised if any of the top 15 guys ended up on the podium. But this morning we saw it was our top 3 that started from the front row of the grid. Wayne Maxwell taking the win over Troy Herfoss and Josh Waters in 3rd place.
Yeah, you know what? We've got even windier conditions this afternoon, though, Phil. So, I mean, anything can happen. I'm sure that Troy Herfoss, we heard him on the podium and his discussions after that first race. He wasn't happy to get out-dragged. He got dragged basically from this final Yamaha corner to the line and lost the race by less than 1/10 of a second. So he knows what he's got to do. He can't afford to let the Yamaha be anywhere near him heading onto the straight on the final lap. So expect to see Troy Herfoss absolutely on the limit this time round. Bayliss, he ran wide in race 1. You could see him there in the middle of the screen, just standing next to the wall there, giving the drone a bit of a wave. He was always nice to see. He was perhaps holding back Brian Starring and Daniel Fowles on a little bit in race 1, but then he ran a little bit wide and got to follow those 2 guys for a bit. So I'm sure there's been some bike changes going on in that garage, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Bayliss pick up the pace this time round either.
Yeah, well, championship points at the end of race number 1. Troy Herfoss may have had to play second fiddle to Wayne Maxwell, but he has taken the championship lead by 3 points over Josh Waters, and Brian Starring, our championship leader coming into this round, is now slipped back to 3rd. There's only 4 points between the top 3, and there's only 12 points back to Wayne Maxwell in 4th position. Wayne Maxwell has already had 1 DNF in 2018, so he's made a miraculous recovery, Steve Martin, to be back up and well and truly into the championship challenge now, with only 4 races down of the 2018 season.
Yeah, 12 points back after a DNF is pretty much a get-out-of-jail-free card for that man. If he has another good weekend here, a good race this time out, he could reduce that deficit even more. This is a track that he likes, but it's also a track that he's had dramas with in the past. A couple of years ago here, while he was leading the race, and it looked like he was going to win, he fell off up the top in heading into Kawasaki Corner. So it's not necessarily a track that the guy that's in the lead is going to win.
I think that was the year that everyone that actually was leading the race at one stage crashed out.
I think that might have been the year that we should have entered, Phil. I don't know what you think.
Could have done a Stephen Bradbury and taken a race win. But as you can see, we've had every sort of climactic condition here this weekend. We've had baking heat, we've had wind, we've had baking heat and wind, and it now looks like there's clouds coming over, and who knows what is contained in those clouds, Steve Martin. Wakefield Park, as we said, has delivered both with action on track and atmospheric conditions this weekend.
You certainly have to have nerves of steel to be one of these superbike guys. Manhandling 200 horsepower of bucking motorcycle around this track is no mean feat. And I'll tell you what, these are some of the fittest guys on the planet. Take Troy Herfoss, for example. If he's not here racing a motorbike, he's riding his push bike all over the world. And when he's not doing that, he's racing in the Australian Championships and beating some of the world's best cycling riders. So that's how fit a lot of these guys are.
And Troy Herfoss is now adding running and swimming to his bow of tricks as well. So he certainly is an all-round athlete at the moment. But also too, Troy Bayliss, 49 years of age now. He's certainly looking extremely fit because he's had a few months to prepare for 2018 because he knew that he was going to be riding the bike. Not so the other man that's making his return to the Australian Superbike Championship this year, Jamie Stouffer. When asked this weekend, how's the fitness, Jamie's laconical comment was, what fitness?
Absolutely, and he didn't mean by saying I'm recovering from fitness, he didn't mean that he was recovering from an injury. What he meant, Phil, was that I've been sitting at home doing nothing for the last couple of years, so it's entry to see.
Well, we've had plenty of special guests here this weekend, none other than the 5 times ISDE champion Jess Gardner, who was here at Wakefield Park to take in the action yesterday.
I'm here with 5-time ISD champion Jess Gardner. Welcome here this week, and it's great to have you at our round. And I do hear that you are going on the back of a bike with Steve Martin. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, thank you. So yesterday I was only told that I was going on the back of Steve Martin for this weekend. So yeah, really looking forward to doing a couple of hot laps with him. And I've never even sat on a road bike. So I've come from the off-road scene, dirt bikes all my life. But it's really cool, you know, to coincide these two sports and come together and be here today. Big thanks to Motorcycling Australia and Yamaha for organising this great experience.
For those that don't know much about the Australian Off-Road Championship, can you give us a bit of a background?
Yeah, so basically Australian Off-Roads, it travels all around Australia like the superbikes and the road racing scene. You have anywhere from 300 to 450 riders at each event roughly on a good one, and yeah, basically we ride on a true enduro scene, we ride for about 8 hours a day, 2 days in a row. In 2 weeks, we have a huge event, the Australian 4-Day Enduro, which is the 40th anniversary for the running event here in Australia. And then that event was created back in the day for the training, as you mentioned, 5-time world champion with the Team Australia Women's. So that event was created to train us Aussies for that event overseas. So yeah, the Australian off-road, basically you're in the bush, you're in the natural terrain, on dirt bikes. You know, I ride for Yamaha on a WR250 FJ, and yeah, it's good fun and a great family sport, as all these dirt bike sports are.
I can't believe it. I mean, 24 years of age and 5-time champion, 5 years in a row. I mean, what a fantastic effort. You must be so proud of what you've achieved so far.
Yes, most certainly. It's you know, it comes down to the roots again. In the beginning, it all started out just going camping with the family and just being able to follow them on the Pee Wee 50 and just have a fun little ride, and then it just grew from there into motocross and then into the off-road scene, and I just really fell in love with the off-road scene, as it's really family orientated, and it's taken me some great places, as you mentioned, overseas. Before the world titles last year, I spent 7 months in Europe and claimed the European title and the French championship title. Here in Australia, I've claimed 3 Australian championships and 4 Australian 4-day enduro championships, so that's quite a few boxes ticked there, and I'm back home this year, starting to focus on a bit of coaching and just having fun and getting back to racing here and hang out with all the Australian fans. So thanks.
Well, congratulations on what you've achieved so far, and it's great to have you here this weekend. Good luck on the Podium ride.
Yeah, most certainly. Thank you to everyone involved.
Yeah, great to have Jess Gardner here this weekend, and I'm pretty informed reliably that she did enjoy her pillion ride with Steve Martin as well, as we get ready for the start of the second of the YMI Superbike races. And who will be champion? That Steve Martin is the big question, and also who will be the round winner here this weekend as they head off on this final warm-up lap. We saw some great performances this morning, and none other than the man that you're extremely impressed with, that put on a great ride in race number 1 despite injury.
Yeah, of course, Glenn Allerton. Big crash at Phillip Island. He's definitely riding under duress. He made the jump to BMW this year with the next gen team, and he came out fighting in race 1, got a good 7th position for him. It's not where he wants to be, not where he deserves to be, but unfortunately with the injuries that he's carrying, he's got a hard job ahead this time out.
Well, Troy Herfoss, Wayne Maxwell and Josh Waters will start from the front row of the grid courtesy of their qualifying performances. Daniel Fowles and Jamie Stouffer returning to the championship, and Brian Starring make up row 2.
Troy Bayliss, of course, where he doesn't want to be on the 3rd row. Glenn Allerton, the man we were just talking about. Michael Blair, good ride from him. Matty Walters, best ride in a long time. Alex Phillips back on Suzuki, and Bradley Swallow. What a ride he had. He was probably another pick of the race.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a couple of sessions he was a lot further ahead of than that. Kyle Buckley, Corey Turner and Matt Harding on row 5, with Callum Spriggs, Ted Collins, the 2017 championship, and Mark Kyoto is also back there in 18th position on bike number 30, and hopefully he gets further than this first corner in this second race.
Yep, absolutely wasn't an ideal start for him as the boys start to come towards the line now. Phil, Brian Starring there on the left of the screen. He's got a lot to play for. He was leading the championship coming into this round, but he's not right now.
It's going to be very interesting to see how they play out the tactics, because Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss both said that it was extremely hard to try and lead the race. Let's see how this second race pans out as the riders take up their positions on the grid now. Second round of the 2018 Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championships presented by Motul Pirelli. YMI Superbike class race 2 just about ready to get underway. The revs start to rise as the red flag leaves the front of the grid. The lights are on. We're in the starter's hands. And Troy Herfoss gets a good jump off the line, but Wayne Maxwell has got another cracking start. Steve Martin, he could take the lead as they go through turn 1 and down into turn 2. That's 2 great starts for Maxwell this weekend. And Troy Bayliss around the outside of Herfoss takes up the running in 3rd position with great shots from the drone as they drive up towards the top of the hill and Pirelli corner.
I told you Troy Bayliss didn't want to be on the 3rd row of the grid. He wanted to be up there somewhere with the front boys, and he's exactly where he needs to be, behind the number 1 of Josh Waters.
Well, great start from Bayliss. He is in the action. He's got Daniel Falzon and Brian Starring right behind him as well. Matt Walters right behind Brian Starring and Jamie Stofo right behind him as well. On board that Racer's Edge Performance, Craig McMartin Panigale. Waters was in deep, had to go around the outside of Troy Herfoss. Probably lost a bike length or two there on the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine. He was incredibly hot into that corner at the bottom of the hill.
Daniel Falzon got stuck behind Bayliss in race 1 today. Let's see what he does this time. Is he going to dive up the inside nice and early? No, he didn't do it. Jamie Stauffer there as well. Brian Starring with a gap to make up to the front group already. Yeah. Not what he wants to be, where he wants to be.
Well, the battle of the Hunter region is on in earnest there with Jamie Stauffer getting the better of Matt Walters on the run through Suzuki and down into the final corner. But our top three have just managed to get out a little bit of a distance over Troy Bayliss, who looks to be wrestling the bike in the wind there as they make their way up the Yamaha Motor Finance hill to the top there at Pirelli. It is still Maxwell leading from Herfoss and Waters. The top three in race number 1 are once again the top three, and just starting to pull out a little bit of a distance over our battle between Bayliss and Falzon. And the more Falzon tries to get past, the more those two are going to get slowed down.
It's pretty hard to see how windy it is out there at the moment. It's really, really windy, and it's affecting the way that these guys are able to ride these bikes. Bayliss is one of the guys that was struggling with that before. Also, Josh Waters mentioned it. You could just see in the background there the dust getting blown up. These guys are really having to earn their money or fun this afternoon.
Yeah, Jamie Stoffer is actually closing in on the back of Brian Starring. They're trying to find a way past as well. So this is a great early performance in this race as we watch the field come through. There's Mark Kyoto on board bike number 30. Good to see him out there and running. It looks like he was just behind Reece Belling. And I think that was about 15th or 16th position. Callum Spriggs also in that battle as well. But at the moment is Daniel Falzon trying desperately to try and find a way past the 3-time Superbike world champion Troy Bayliss, who once again is at a circuit that really suits his style. With the elbows out, is extremely hard to pass because he's so late on the brakes.
He is so late on the brakes. It's going to be interesting to see how he settles into this one, because he did hold Falzon back. If I was Falzon, I would have perhaps seen that and known that if he was behind Bayliss, he would have had to have changed his bike. Falzon needs to be stronger in the braking area at this circuit, in my opinion.
Well, through the Suzuki corner they come now. It is the Yamaha of Wayne Maxwell that leads the Honda of Troy Herfoss and the Suzuki of Josh Waters. The YZF R1M from the CBR 1000 SP2 and the GSX R1000R. Bayliss once again using those different lines because of the natures of the Panigale. I think Falzon may have found his way past.
Nearly, he has. He's got through, and that's exactly what he needs to do. He's going to hold Bayliss off now in through Modal Corner, and he has. That's a great move by him. And look at Josh Waters. Waters is through on Herfoss.
Well, great move there from Josh Waters. He was one of the guys that said that he had to make some changes to the bike if he was going to run with the front two, because they were just a little bit faster than him. Of course, Phil Tayton, the man, the technical guru for the Team Suzuki X-Star team, not here this weekend, but he has got his brother Brody, who's a genius on the spanners, working his magic. As here we see Waters just pull out of the slipstream of the Honda, which is a lot faster than the previous model, but obviously not quite as fast as the Phil Tayton prepared Suzuki GSX R1000R.
Absolutely, that manoeuvre there into turn 2 starts all the way back from turn 10 as well. It's if you get that great drive out there, it makes it a lot easier to zip past and do that. But Maxwell at the moment with a handy half a bike length lead.
And also it looks like Daniel Falzon may be starting to close down the lead now. It looks like he's getting closer to Troy Herfoss in third position. It'll be interesting to see the lap times now as they come around to complete 4 laps. Fastest lap of the race, in fact, so far, Josh Waters on that last lap with a 58.243. In fact, all of the riders all the way back to 7th place, all in the 58s. Jamie Stoffer doing his fastest lap of the race at 58.6, still running around in 7th position. Matt Walters in 8th position at 59.5. So he's just dropped off the back of Jamie Stoffer a fraction, as Stoffer looks like he's dropped off the back of Brian Starring fractionally as well.
Daniel Falzon's in a good position now. Like, it took him too long to get past Troy Bayliss last time out, and he lost the lead group. But thankfully, with the bike set up the way it is, he did manage to find a way through now. So I reckon that if he can take a deep breath, he might be able to catch up to that leading group. He's definitely fast when he's got clear track in front of him, and he's got clear track at the moment.
Yeah, Glenn Allerton started to close in on the back of Matt Walters as well. We know how good Glenn Allerton is on the brakes, and he comes down the inside of Matt Walters into the final corner, just manages to hold him out, but Walters gets back up the inside. We know the BMW is fast, but it's going to be a drag race down the straight. They are literally level pegging with each other. I think Allerton had his nose fractionally ahead, and it looks like that bike is a lot more composed than it looked earlier on in the weekend, where it looked like Glenn Allerton had to fight it at every single corner.
Well, you've only got to think back to the ASBK test at the start of the year. Who was the fastest guy and what bike was it? It was the BMW. Oh, they know what they're doing. The bike's good. Allerton's good. It's just that For one reason or another, they just haven't had the package working together. He's injured, but I'll tell you what, they're on the right track now. Watch out next time out. Arthur Ceces is having a good ride too. He's moved up into the points for the first time in the Australian Superbike Championship race.
Yeah, great to see him jump off the Moto 3 bike of a couple of years ago and onto the Australian Superbike with a good performance at the first round as well. And I tell you who's made some miraculous change to this bike, it is Josh Waters, who seems to be able to run comfortably now with the leaders Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss. Maxwell's lead is out to 0.3 of a second at the last lap, and he's taken it out by another tenth or so on this lap, a 58.3. In fact, Wayne Maxwell's fastest lap of the race was on that last lap, so he's now got his head down with 6 laps of the 20 complete, and as he comes up towards the top of the hill, Waters and Herfoss just trying to go with him, and Falzon still desperately trying to hang on, about 1.4 seconds behind.
It's so hard to maintain your concentration on this tight circuit. You really don't get any rest. You're on the left, on the right, on the brakes, on the accelerator. There's no straight to be seen here. Basically 3 or 4 seconds down the front straight there, the YMI straight, but it's you know, you've really got to try and concentrate all the way through this thing.
And when you watch them from pit wall, Steve, they're actually getting the front wheel back on the ground only just before they turn into that corner, or the first corner there, and then leads down to the second corner, mogul corner, to drive up the hill as Brian Starring tries to get the Kawasaki tipped in there. Looked like it was a little bit recalcitrant as the Starring was so late on the brakes, and Jamie Stouffer once again doing a great job on that Craig McMartin Racers Edge Performance Ducati Panigale 1199R.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie's actually just closing that gap down a little bit, I reckon. So Brian will be looking at his lap board as he goes past, and he'll be seeing that gap come down. Although it's Jamie Stouffer, not an issue in the championship. The last thing that he needs to do is drop back another spot. Obviously, for one reason or another, the BC Performance, Kawasaki and Brian, they've just got to get out of this weekend in one piece, because it's not happening for them.
Well, it's certainly probably not a track that really suits the Kawasaki as much as Phillip Island, but the next track at the Bend circuit in the South Australia, well, we don't know what it's going to suit, because no one has ever been there before. In fact, the test coming up into the next round will actually be the first event at that brand new world-class facility, as Troy Herfoss tries to find a way past Josh Waters down into Yamaha corner. In fact, they've all closed up onto the back of Wayne Maxwell's machine, because Josh Waters on the last lap set the fastest lap of the race, the 58.164. Can they get into the 57s? No, they're all back into the high 58s now, with a 58.8 for Maxwell and a 58.6 for both Waters and Herfoss.
Big moment there as we look at a bunch go over the start-finish line up into the final court. Good battle there, and that's Matty Walters.
Yeah, and Kyle Buckley. It looks like, I think, I'm just wondering if Matty Walters had made some changes, because he was a lot stronger than this in the first race. They may have made a change and possibly gone in the wrong direction with the Rover Coaches Swan Insurance Repsol Kawasaki.
I'm impressed with Kyle Buckley. He's made a really good comeback since he had that big injury at Darwin last year. He broke his leg up there.
Oh, well, that's Matty Harding, I think, on board bike number 96, has taken a bit of a detour.
Yeah, that's not the fastest line out there, unfortunately, for Matty Harding.
But he's still these top 3. There's nothing between them. Herfoss has got back up into second place over Josh Waters. But Maxwell has managed to pull out a couple of bike lengths, so I'd say that's been a hard pass, and they've both lost a little bit of time on track. Let's have a look at the lap times as they come round now. Yeah, Waters back into the 59s, and Maxwell in the low 58s.
Yeah, you've got to think that when Herfoss went past there, it was a little bit of a touchy move by the look of that. And that's just given Wayne Maxwell a little bit of breathing space at the moment. And if you look at the back there, Daniel Falzon, that gap was 1.7. It has come down a little bit to the lead. It's 1.6 now. So Falzon is just chipping away. He's still got half the race, another 10 laps to close it up if he can.
Yeah, well, that's Brian Starring, is it, or Kyle Buckley that's off the track? Just having a look to see. I think that is Starring. You can see by the back of the leathers. So Starring is off the circuit. He was in 6th position. And that looks like it could be the end of the race for Brian Starring, because that bike looks pretty deep into the gravel trap.
Yeah, certainly is not the weekend that Brian Starring wanted to have, really. Wasn't overly competitive in race 1, a DNF in race 2. That's really going to hurt his championship.
Well, Maxwell continues to lead on 47, Herfoss on 17, Waters on 1, Falzon on 25. All of them in the 58s. In fact, Troy Herfoss, fastest lap of the race, Steve Martin, a 58.144, 4/10 of a second faster than Wayne Maxwell on that last lap, as we have another rider that's taken a detour. That looks like it was at Suzuki Corner, was it? Or at the top of the hill at Kawasaki?
It did, it certainly did. It's up the top of the hill at Kawasaki there, and there he is in the background, well offline, so the race will continue. There'll be a yellow flag out there for a lap or two, so no overtaking there to give Wayne Maxwell some respite. But look how good Herfoss is under brakes.
Well, down at the bottom of the hill, that's one of his favourite overtaking manoeuvres, and he's now brought himself right back up onto the back of Wayne Maxwell's machine. And we're 10 laps, we're halfway into this race, Steve Martin, 10 laps complete, we're on the 11th lap, and Maxwell, I think, now knows as Troy Herfoss goes up the inside that he's well and truly got a fight on his hands.
But Herfoss is wide, Maxwell gets a good drive out, leaves him a little bit of room. Now that's a bit friendly.
They've been friendly all weekend.
Well, except for in the podium area where they had a bit of a scuffle, didn't they?
Well, and also you could see at the end of race one when they congratulated each other, it wasn't the warmest of congratulations for the two guys that have been described as being like brothers. They have a bit of a blue, they talk to each other like brothers, and they put it aside and get on with life at the end of this weekend. And Wayne Maxwell is continuing to lead Herfoss, who takes to the lead momentarily on that last lap, and Waters has got the best view in the house, sitting there in third position, but he'll be wanting to get back into the action as quickly as possible.
When I look at the Suzuki, up the inside goes Herfoss again. He's made a nice clean move, and he's got straight past Wayne Maxwell. And he's made some ground on him. That's a great move. That's what Herfoss needs to do if he wants to win this race. He knows that he's got to be at least half a second or a second ahead of Wayne Maxwell on the last lap.
Well, I think he said it at the end of last lap, doesn't he? That he knows he has to be well and truly ahead because he knows that Wayne's Yamaha has got a little bit more engine in a straight line, and especially the way it drives out of that last corner.
Yeah, not necessarily engine. It's definitely got probably a little bit, but also it's the drive out of that last turn as well. So, it's a combination of things. Plus, there was the wind involved. It's very windy out here. There's a back marker there. Not left a lot of room. He's got through, but Maxwell's definitely hampered by that one. He nips up the inside.
Yeah, Josh Waters also looked like he got held up momentarily. Hamish McMurray does get out of the way for those guys as they make their way through. But I think Herfoss probably got the best deal there in the bit of traffic that we've come to see. But Wayne Maxwell also usually is the master at dealing with the traffic, as Troy Herfoss has to go wide around the outside. That probably cost Troy as much as he gained at the last incident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're out in front, you're a trailblazer. You've got to deal with the issues first. Sometimes the back markers and things, sometimes they work in your favour and sometimes they don't. But there's definitely a couple of bikes length there. 59.1 for Wayne Maxwell last time round. Not his fastest lap of the weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that was Matty Harding that had run off the circuit, so he's probably just trying to get the dirt off the tyres after that off-track excursion. He pulls to the side, lets the rest of the riders through. And Troy Bayliss, just have a look at his last lap time, 59 flat. He was actually faster than all of the guys in front of him because, Herfoss was the only one of those lead group in the 58s. The rest of them all into the 59s with a 59.1 for Maxwell and a 59.3, courtesy of those couple of back markers that they had to negotiate, Steve.
Yeah, the issue that Bayliss got at the moment is 4 seconds off the lead. So it's going to be very difficult for him to challenge. He's 2 seconds off of Daniel Falzon. He was half a second a lap quicker than Daniel Falzon last time round. So it is feasible that he can get up there and perhaps take 4th, but I think the win might be out of the question.
Yeah, Jamie Stouffer is holding down 6th position behind Troy Bayliss. Then it's Allerton in 7th, Kyle Buckley in 8th, Matt Walters in 9th, and Al Phillips inside the top 10 on board bike number 20. You can see him just there as Kyle Buckley and Matt Walters continue to dispute 8th, 9th and 10th position with Al Phillips on board bike number 20.
It's definitely a beautiful looking Suzuki. It's Al Phillips' machine with the big number 20 on the front there. Very nice indeed. Matty Walters just trying to find a way past Carl Buckley. Fairly new to the Superbike class he is, and he's getting better and better now as well. Stronger and stronger with every ride.
And just behind them too is Michael Blair on board bike number 178, who's had a very strong weekend here this weekend as well, as he did at the first round of the championship at Phillip Island.
Yeah, he did, but you know what? I was expecting a little bit more from him because last year, I mean, he's led some sessions. He's I thought he would have been up there a bit more. Obviously, something about this circuit that's not suiting his style. Perhaps there's an issue with the bike he's not happy with. But let's just hope that like everyone else out there, he can learn from the experience and get some good results next time out.
Well, Al Phillips down the inside of Matt Walters couldn't quite get the Suzuki up far enough to get past the Repsol Swan Insurance Kawasaki. It is still Walters trying to go with Kyle Buckley at the moment on the second of the BC Performance teams. Well, in actual fact, the only BC Performance Kawasaki out there at the moment with the demise of his teammate Brian Starring. doing
definitely.
a great job for the team at the moment is Kyle Buckley in only his second year of racing the Superbike.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a lot of pressure from behind there, but he's just opened up that gap a little bit there. So good from the number 83 machine of Kyle Buckley. Good to see him up into 8th position at the moment. Glenn Allerton, of course, in front of him. He's also in the 59s as Glenn Allerton. He's just going to try and bring it home.
Well, while we watch this battle, someone ran off the circuit at the top of the hill there. Hopefully they can keep the bike off the track and it doesn't go spearing back on at the top of the hill. While we've been watching this battle, Troy Herfoss has managed to open up a 1.1 second lead over Wayne Maxwell, who in turn has got 1.3 seconds over Josh Waters, as Matty Walters comes down to the bottom of the hill trying to find his way past Kyle Buckley, who's ran a fraction wide, and Walters has shoehorned the Swan Insurance Kawasaki back up the inside.
Yeah, good job there by Matty Walters. That was the move that he tried last lap round, but he couldn't do it. As they head up, plenty of back markers in the way, and they just nipped through.
So Walters had to have a duel on the brakes there with Kyle Buckley as they came down into the Yamaha corner. As they battle for Kawasaki supremacy back there in 8th and 9th position.
Yep, Hamish McMurray on the number 37 machine in the background there. He's certainly getting a lot of action in this race, isn't he?
He's going to have a short back and sides haircut by the end of this weekend, with all of the overtaking that's been had to be inflicted on him at close range. I think that's Joel Rhodes on board bike number 81 that they're just managing to get past now. I think Matt's had a pretty good deal out of that. Kyle Buckley looked like he got held up fractionally. He's been held up again for both of the corners at the top of the hill, Pirelli and Kawasaki. And it just goes to show you one line at the top of the hill there, Steve.
Yeah, up the inside, he tries to get through, he does, and Al Phillips goes through too. He does. Bit of a Biffy and Bargy there. All three get past. This track is so difficult to pass on. We heard the leaders, the top guys, talking about it. The one line around this circuit, it just does make it so difficult.
Herfoss has now got a 2.435 second lead over Wayne Maxwell at the front of the field as they start lap 18. And Josh Waters is now 3.7 seconds behind our race leader as well. So it's more stretched out at the front than we've seen it all weekend. But Herfoss, he knew he had to have a little bit of a break. He has really pinned the ears back and continues now to circulate in the 58s. Maxwell and back into the 59s. Waters in the high 58s. But Troy Herfoss on that last lap, Steve Martin, a 58.393. I think that's about his 4th or 5th lap now in a row in those low 58s.
It's pretty incredible when you consider the conditions out there, and his fastest lap of the race is only 0.3 quicker than that. So very, very consistent is Troy Herfoss out there at the moment. And I reckon with just a few laps, a couple of laps to go, that Wayne Maxwell will be pretty happy to take second position in this race. So just expect him to maintain the gap back to Josh Waters. But Josh is also running some pretty good times. 1.3 seconds for him to catch up to Wayne Maxwell in front.
I'm not sure what's happened to Matt Walters, but he has dropped right back, and Arthur Cece's now is up ahead of him as well and into 11th position and now battling for a top 10 place. Great to see Arthur Cece's on board bike number 61 as we go back to our race leader, Troy Herfoss, at the bottom of the hill now. Turns left and comes through the KTM corner. You can see that there is a good, healthy lead. 3 seconds at the completion of lap 18 for Troy Herfoss over Wayne Maxwell, who just, I don't know whether they've made a change to the bike and it just hasn't been able to run at the same pace, or whether it's Herfoss's team has pulled a rabbit out of their hat, made a change that's worked for this entire race distance, because on the last lap, Troy Herfoss was half a second faster than Maxwell. In fact, Herfoss, the only rider in the 58s on the last lap, the rest of the top 10, apart from Kyle Buckley in 10th position, all into the 59s.
Absolutely. It's a massive lead that he's got now. It's 3 seconds over Wayne Maxwell. Maxwell's got to be happy if he can just pick up second at the moment. But Herfoss, whatever he did change, you've got to take a hat off to the team. He's just got to bring it home now. There's not far to go, probably about a kilometre, 1.2 k's left, but it's still pretty tricky out there.
And I'll tell you what it's going to do is it's going to mean, if they finish in this order, that Troy Herfoss will take the round win by 1 solitary point. That all-important point for pole position will have Troy Herfoss taking the round win over Wayne Maxwell, as he's had a back marker running wide.
I think that was Adam Senior just getting out of the way.
Yep, so getting out of the way so that Troy Bayliss could make his way through. But Herfoss, you see, he snuck a quick look over the shoulder there. This is the final lap, the final corner. He doesn't have to worry about getting in there too hot. He can ride now safely to the finish and take a comfortable win in race number 2. He cruises across the line, punches his fist in the air just to rub it in a little bit more to Wayne Maxwell, and Josh Waters takes a fine 3rd position. Do you reckon he's pumped Steve Martin? I think it's a home victory for Troy Herfoss that he will be enjoying all night.
Absolutely. I just want to see what happens when Wayne Maxwell goes past. What's the body English there? But the race is not over for some.
There's Arthur Cecis on board bike number 61, closing in on the back of Kyle Buckley. This is the battle for the final place inside the top 10. A great ride from Arthur Cecis there, but I think Kyle Buckley is just going to make the run to the line and take out 10th position. And great ride from him. So what a way to finish. And Troy Herfoss and Josh Waters have a quick debrief at the top of Pirelli Hill.
Look, they're already talking about how the bikes are moving around, the wind and everything else. They can't even wait to get their helmets off. But what a weekend for that man. He finally won his home round.
Well, he's done a great job, has Troy Herfoss on board the Penrite Honda bike number 17. There's Jamie Stouffer in the background. Another great performance from him. He finished in 6th position, and I think this weekend Steve Martin will hopefully be the realisation for Jamie Stouffer that he's still got it, and he needs to race the rest of the championship. He's going to be at the rounds anyway with Sun Max Racing, so why not come and race the Craig McMartin Races Edge Panigale.
Troy Herfoss takes the win from Wayne Maxwell and Josh Waters in 3rd position. Daniel Falzon rounds out 4th for the 2nd time this weekend. Troy Bayliss with 5th. Jamie Stouffer, as you said, what a great result for him. Glenn Allerton, another 7th. Alex Phillips, a good ride through to 8th. Michael Blair in 9th, makes the top 10. And so does Kyle Buckley. He's getting better and better with every ride. Wayne Maxwell was pretty beaten up after the round 1. Stoush had a couple of big offs there. He was limping around. And I'll tell you what, he doesn't look like he's moving too freely at the moment, does he?
No, but I'll tell you what, he actually looked like he had a bit of a smile on his face underneath the helmet there as he gives Troy Herfoss a pat on the back. And there you go. I think the words that were said earlier on the weekend have all been forgotten now, and they'll celebrate this afternoon or this evening at the after party.
Absolutely. Good to see. Good
Dion Coote there, the man behind the Penrite Honda team, looked like he's pretty happy as well. Scotty Charlton, former ASBK race winner as well, part of the team. The official team gopher and truck driver.
Absolutely. It's good to see the way that they've managed to turn it around as well. You know, like obviously the big changes in the team from the Crank Pro Team Honda team last year to the Penrite team this year.
Josh Waters finishing 3rd and 3rd overall for the weekend. You always say to me every single point counts, and it does. You're still sitting 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, it was so difficult out there, but great to finish both races on the podium. I honestly didn't think I would be on the podium, but I need to keep this rolling. We go to a new circuit next time, Tailem Bend, so I'm sure my GSX-R 1000 will be awesome there, and huge thanks to Team Suzuki X-Star Australia for the weekend.
Hopefully the conditions are easier there. Well done, Joshy.
Fingers crossed, thanks.
All right, so we'll head over to 2nd position for the race and also for the round. What a fantastic weekend he's had, Wayne Maxwell. Tough conditions out there, mate. Had a great weekend, finishing 2nd overall. Well done.
Yeah, really happy to finish 2nd overall. It's to come here. I was so fast on Friday, and we were good over the long run, but the conditions really today didn't suit me, and I can't afford another DNF because if I lose any more points, it's going to be game over for the 2018 championship. So really happy. Spent a little bit too much energy maybe at the start and just couldn't respond to Troy. He was just too good today.
Thanks for the battles.
No worries, thank you.
And we'll head to our 1st position, the winner for this race, and also the winner overall for this round, Troy Herfoss. Congratulations, you are still leading this championship.
That's really good. feels great to take another round win here at Wakefield and put that Penrite Honda on top. So we're leading the championship, and we're feeling good with the bike and ready to fight.
Local boys, so the after party's at your house then?
I don't tell too many people. Open invitation, isn't it?
Thanks.
On live TV.
Exactly. Thanks, Troy. Well done. Great work.
Thank you.
Now, the next round of the championship, round 3, goes to the brand new Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia from April 19 to 22. First event at the new facility will be the official test, and the second ever meeting at that event will be the ASBK round there. Round 3 of the 2018 Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motul Pirelli, and everyone is looking forward to getting to a brand new circuit, home circuit for Daniel Falzon. But there's plenty of other MA events coming up. First up, the FIM Oceania Speedway Sidecar Championship, March 31 at the Goulburn Speedway in South Australia. Of course, the Broadford Bike Bonanza, historic bikes everywhere over the Easter weekend, March 30 to April 1 at Broadford in Victoria. And the FIM Speedway 1000cc Sidecar World Cup, April 1st at Goulburn Speedway in South Australia, as Motorcycling Australia supports all forms, all disciplines of motorcycling in this country. For all information, go to ma.org.au. Let's go back down to Emma to wrap up today's exciting racing here at round 2.
Thank you very much, Phil. Fantastic job this weekend, and I'm alongside Steve Martin. Steve, wow, These riders have had to put up with a lot today. Not only is this track already physical, it's been very, very hot out there. Track temperatures reached about 50 degrees. That wind has been unreal. And talking firsthand, I mean, you've ridden through these conditions before. That would have been really tough for them.
I've never seen conditions as windy as this anywhere. I mean, we were pretty lucky to get through the weekend in all reality. Everything's blowing down all over the place. A great job by all the officials to be able to keep the meeting running. We had all sorts of, wind-related issues throughout the weekend. It was tough for the riders out on track as well. So a good job by everybody just to get us to this part of the weekend.
Well, we can't wait to see how it all pans out at the next round. We cannot wait to see you at the Bend. Looking forward to that one, Steve.
You know, it's always good when you go to a new racetrack anywhere in the world, but when there's a new racetrack here in Australia, the Bend, an internationally classed, recognised circuit, boy, we're really looking forward to getting there. We've got obviously an ASBK test before we get there. You can catch up with the results on that on the social, but I'm looking forward to getting there.
Definitely looking forward to it. We hope that you all can watch us then in April. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to our entire team here. We'll see you next time.